Tonight, President Trump revealing one aspect of police reform he might support, signaling he's open to a ban on officers using chokeholds, but also voicing reservations in a Fox News interview.
I think the concept of chokeholds sounds so innocent, so perfect, and then you realize if it's a one-on-one, now if it's two-on-one, that's a little bit of a different story, depending. But if a police officer is in a bad scuffle and he's got somebody.
Well, if it's a one-on-one fight for the life.
Yeah, and that does happen. And that does happen.
But
too. So you have to be careful. With that being said, it would be, I think, a very good thing that, generally speaking, it should be ended.
The president saying he's close to finalizing an executive order that would improve police training, but has yet to offer specifics. And he was asked what he would say to protesters about George Floyd's death.
I think it's a shame. I think it's a disgrace, and it's got to stop. At the same time, you also know that we have incredible people in law enforcement, and we have to cherish them and take care of them. And we can't let something like this, where you have a bad apple, go out and, destroy the image of of millions of people that take really good care of us.
The president is grappling with how to address the concerns of protesters, with some advisors telling NBC News they're worried he is only focused on his base. The president at times heard saying of the protesters, "These aren't my voters," according to 3 people familiar with the comments. Responding to our report, a White House official saying, quote, "The president doesn't see the protesters as directly about him," which is accurate. It's a result of decades of racism in our country. Meanwhile, after criticism of his upcoming rally in Tulsa on the anniversary of the end of slavery, the president says the date was not chosen on purpose.
It wasn't done for that reason, but it's an interesting date, but it's a celebration.
Later, touting his record, invoking Abraham Lincoln.
I think I've done more for the black community than any other president, and let's take a pass on Abraham Lincoln, because he did good, although it's always questionable. In other words, the end result.
Well, we are free, Mr. President.
But we
he
are
did
free.
pretty well.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah, no,
so I'm going to take a pass on Honest Abe, as we call it.
But you say you've done more than anybody.
Well, look, criminal justice reform. Nobody else could have done it. I did it.
And tonight, the RNC announcing it's moving the Republican convention to Jacksonville. The president pulled the event from Charlotte, where the governor had required social distancing guidelines.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.